Game start.
Let's go! This ain't the Fox Light. Oh, this game he stinks.
Oh shit!
He's gone.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Hounds, exclusively here on A2DRadio.com. I'm Rob Brinkman. He's Brad Ryer. Frank Vesby is producing the show. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. You miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us wherever you get your podcasts. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Takeover Talk. Takeover is real. We're talking all things NFL tonight. We got some MLB stuff. We got the inaugural Monday Night Football game. We'll have that covered for you, live react once it gets started. Right around 8:15, I anticipate they'll start. We got the Ravens and the Raiders. We'll have picks. We'll have some props. We'll have everything covered. And we'll have some MLB playoff races. I'm so happy that there's football to talk about tonight because the Phillies, they stink. I know, Brad, your Yankees have been reeling, but they get a nice comeback win over the Minnesota Twins today. The Phillies, I mean, Dave Dombrowski, he's gonna have to earn his paycheck this offseason because you go out, you lose 2 out of 3 at home to the Colorado Rockies. You got an off day today. You're gonna play the Cubs, but I mean, this season's dead. Thank God we have football tonight. Brad, I know your Yankees have had some.
Oh, they've been really struggling. I'll tell you what, losing Johnny Loizaga has killed their bullpen. Just killed it. It's amazing how one guy can just upset the entire apple cart when it comes to a bullpen.
I wouldn't know because, we have no apples. We have no cart in Philadelphia. We have nothing when it comes to the bullpen. It's just a total disaster. I mean, there's 3 guys at the top of my list. We'll get to it later in the show that I don't want to see in Philadelphia Phillies uniforms ever again. And it's going to be on Dave Dombrowski to be creative because they don't have a farm system because Matt Klentak destroyed that. And it's going to be creativity time for Mr. Dombrowski. But this is what we got, Dave Dombrowski.
There's also some pretty good shortstops, and I think I might try to get the owner, Mr. Middleton, is that his name?
Yeah.
To get himself his checkbook ready and bring in one of those top shortstops because this off-season's crop of shortstops is remarkably good.
The upcoming free agents when it comes to position guys is pretty strong.
It's outstanding.
Pitchers, not so much. So, it's going to be up to them to get creative. We got some really interesting pennant races, playoff races coming down the stretch here. We'll talk about them, but week 1 is in the books. We have live action to talk about, but first, let's get to our great sponsors each and every week. The Sports Hounds is brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, 2 convenient locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc here. Make him yours too. There's the website right there on the screen. Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D for 25% off. Also brought to you by the Sunrise Detox Center. If you or any of your friends or family need mental health or addiction help, contact the Sunrise Detox Center, 856-651-8117. 8117. Tell them Tom Arnone sent you. Tell them the Sports Hound sent you. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. No shame in asking for help. But, we got live action football, Brad. Let's get to our poll question brought to us by All Campus, giving 20% off everything in our stores, including hats, shirts, and our team's cornhole sets for all our subscribers. That's All Campus, right on the Ocean City Boardwalk. And, Brad, I'm amped up tonight because I'm super proud of the Philadelphia Eagles. So our poll question tonight is, what were the Philadelphia Eagles the biggest surprise of week 1?
No.
I mean, surprises can be good. Some were good surprises. We have the Poles the most impressive Week 1 team, but when you get the surprises, Brad, we had some good surprises yesterday, and we had some not so good surprises yesterday. But when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, Brad, and I couldn't be prouder of this football team right now because you're 1-0. And first off, I didn't understand any Eagles fan, anyone who follows this team religiously, like we do here in Philadelphia, that predicted a loss to the Atlanta Falcons. I don't get it. The Falcons were worse than you last year and got worse in the offseason. So the Eagles win 4 games, and, they get better. They get a better coach.
Well, they're definitely going to be a better team than last year. I mean, the key to the Eagles season this year is if they can stay healthy, they're going to be a pretty good team. But that's the key. I mean, they've got to stay healthy.
I mean, they came out of yesterday healthy. I mean, you improve your head football coach. And I know that's blasphemous because Doug Peterson won this team. The only Super Bowl this city's ever seen was won by Doug Peterson.
Yeah, the last couple of years he's done a lousy job.
Doug wasn't a good coach.
Yeah,
Doug wasn't a good coach. What I saw yesterday from Nick Sirianni, I don't know how you can't be excited as a Philadelphia Eagles fan about Nick Sirianni. I saw a team that was prepared. I saw a coach that was in control. I saw a game plan that emphasized his players' strengths. Doug would just kind of be out there with a chicken and his head cut off. No real game plan, let's look at this chart. We'll go for 2 now. Oh, we'll go for 1 now. We'll go for it on 4th down here. We'll pass up this field goal. Now, Nick Sirianni is in control, and based on what I saw yesterday, he's going to be a good football coach. What I saw in the trenches is exactly what propelled the Philadelphia Eagles to a win over the Atlanta Falcons. There was no doubt about who the better team was on the offensive and defensive line. Hargraves, Brandon Graham had great games. Fletcher Cox.
Hargraves had a really great game. What do you have, 3 sacks?
The team had 3 sacks. I don't have the breakdown.
He was dominant.
Hargrave had 1. Fletcher Cox is in there clogging up the middle. Everyone wants to say Fletcher Cox is old and over the hill. And is he the Fletcher Cox of 4 years ago in the Super Bowl run? No, he's not. He's 31 years old. He's an interior lineman. Father time's undefeated. But he still commands respect in the middle of that defensive line. He's still the straw that stirs the drink when it comes to the success of Brandon Graham, the success of Hargrave, the success of Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett, the other defensive end position. So you still have the game plan for Fletcher Cox in this league. I don't care what anybody says. I see a defense. I see a defense, Brad, under Jonathan Gannon, which you want to talk about coaching upgrades. Jim Schwartz is out. He is old news. This cookie cutter, play the sticks, Harry High School type of defense is we don't care what play you're going to do. We know what we're going to do no matter what our personnel is. Here it is. We're not going to blitz. We're just going to, do the wide nines and hope for the best. Not the case under Jonathan Gannon.
No, they definitely had on both sides of the ball. They had a game plan, and they did a nice job, especially in the second half.
Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but watching that defense yesterday, the creativity, using players' strengths to your advantage.
Let's not get carried away. Okay, they did play probably one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in football.
You told me they were going to get smoked. All the talent here at A2D Radio, outside of Tom Arnaud, myself, and Ryan Brodo, and losing this football game, which I don't understand at all.
But you guys are notorious homers, let's be honest.
What, and New York's not? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, you guys are notorious homers.
You were crushing the Yankees. You were crushing the Yankees. The whole first half of the season.
You always are homers. Come on, you guys never look at the facts. You're always homers.
I look at the facts. What? There's no Yankees fans that don't look at facts. There's no Knicks fans that don't look at facts. There's no.
Well, the Knicks. There's nothing to look at with the
Giants. It's just an example. But you look at this defense. You look at this defense, Brad.
Again, who are you playing?
Doesn't matter. Wins or wins.
Look,
I don't care who you are. I don't care who you're playing. You let up no touchdowns in 60 minutes of an NFL football game.
That's a good job.
That's impressive.
But try to remember, okay? They were playing probably one of the worst teams in football, maybe the worst team in football. I mean, the way you're acting, you're acting like they're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean,
I'm not acting. And if you would listen, nothing. And listen to this.
You're totally
absolutely nothing. Nothing that happened in that football game yesterday has moved me off of my 8-9 prediction at the beginning of the season. Nothing. Now we get to the quarterback. Jalen Hurts played an excellent.
Quarterback played very well.
An excellent football game. He was accurate. He made great decisions. He knew when to use his legs, and he looked like
Atlanta could not stop them pretty much all day.
Jalen Hurts looked like he had the beginning foundations of a quarterback that I can believe in, that can be my franchise quarterback. They ran the ball. They had draft picks that couldn't do jack nothing, like Jalen Reagor under Doug Peterson, like Quez Watkins under Doug Peterson. Nick Sirianni, he's got. I mean, Quez Watkins, he had 3 catches to start off the game, 3 bubble screens, made things happen, opened things up. Kenneth Gainwell, a 4th-round pick out of Memphis, played the entire 2-minute drill, scored a touchdown, and it was fantastic.
Which, in my opinion, that basically kind of ended the game, it seemed.
Well, yeah, you're not gonna, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you're not going to win any game scoring 6 points. It's just not going to happen.
Once it was 14-6, it seemed like the Eagles at that point just took over, especially the second half. I mean, that was a dominant performance.
So I look at the litany of things that I can point to that was very impressive, and they were the most impressive team in Week 1, in my opinion. Slightly edging.
Rob. New Orleans, they were more impressive than New Orleans beating a good Green Bay team.
Yeah, but I expected New Orleans. I have expectations for New Orleans.
To win 38-3?
38-3 is excessive, and I don't know what was going on with Aaron Rodgers there. But, Brad, Eagles.
I'll tell you what. And they didn't play in the Superdome. They played in Jacksonville. I mean,
I look at USA Today. I look at Colin Cowherd. I look at Sports Illustrated. All told me the Eagles were going to stink and win 3 games. And I go out and I beat on the road in this league against, albeit the Falcons. It's still a road victory. They're 32-6 beatdown.
Okay, so let's see.
The most
beating
impressive.
The Green Bay Packers on a neutral field is not as impressive as beating the Falcons. Is that what you're telling me?
I am looking at the optics of everything.
Okay, because you have to be realistic, Rob. It was an impressive win, but not as impressive as what the Saints did. Come on, they beat the Packers 38-3.
Well, maybe the Packers aren't all that.
A beatdown. Well, we know the Falcons aren't all that, but that was a hell of a game that they played. I mean, who would have expected that? I mean, the Saints were 4-point dogs in this game, and they came out and they just killed them. I mean, that was the most impressive win of the day. I mean, come on now. You can't compare smoking the Falcons to smoking the Packers. That's an unbelievably nasty win. Listen, second most impressive, yeah, but the most impressive game, the win of the day, absolutely was the Saints, because nobody expected that.
How about a rookie receiver in Devontae Smith? The Eagles haven't had a receiver, let alone a rookie receiver, step up and make a play, maybe since Terrell Owens. Maybe. I know they had a cute season in 2017.
Fulgham, his first game, had 10 catches for.
Yeah, and he just got cut. So
yeah, I know.
Forget it. Let's forget about Fulgham.
But no, I'm just saying. Listen, I think Smith is going to be a pretty darn good
First drive. He gets a couple catches. He gets loose deep, man coverage. Says he
catches for 71 yards is nothing to sneeze at, especially in your first game of the NFL. That's impressive.
So there's just a whole list of things that I can look to about.
There's a lot of optimism that should be coming out right now. And do you guys have a right to pump your chest? Sure, you do. But let's keep it real now. The biggest surprise had to be the Saints. I mean that I don't think anybody saw that coming.
But, I mean, I look at a head coach who actually knows his ass from his elbow, which Doug Peterson did not. A defensive coordinator that knows his ass from his elbow, which Jim Schwartz did not. You have receivers that are actually running routes and catching the ball. You have an offensive line that dominated the trenches yesterday. You have a defensive line that dominated the trenches yesterday. By the way, was Kyle Pitts active? Was he active yesterday, Brad?
He was active. He just couldn't do anything.
Well, all I heard about was Kyle Pitts this, Kyle Pitts that. He's going to have a hell of a time stopping Kyle Pitts. They're going to lose the game because Kyle Pitts is going to go nuts.
He didn't seem to – did he even get off the line of scrimmage?
Look at the history of tight ends being picked in the top 10 of the draft. They don't work out, period.
No, I would agree with you. It's not – it's kind of foolish to do that.
If Kyle Pitts wants to break that mold and be good, be my guest, but he's off to a crummy start. 4 catches for 31 yards. With all the hype I got from him, I thought the Eagles defense wasn't going to have an answer. Jonathan Gannon did. I thought Jonathan Gannon was going to struggle to stop tight ends because he didn't have any linebackers. But guess what? He made a game plan that masked the deficiencies of his linebackers. He ran a defensive scheme that played to his linebackers' strengths, and they were able to get it done. They didn't let up a touchdown. Unbelievable.
Brian Daly disagrees to the poll. He thinks that the Texans, despite playing Jacksonville, was the most impressive. I mean, you have a quarterback playing his first game in the NFL, so I know he's Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, Jacksonville, two stinky teams. The Texans are probably going to end up being 1-15 or 1-16. You know, so I don't know about that. I mean, you could say Pittsburgh had an impressive win going into Buffalo and winning that game.
That was extremely impressive.
That was an impressive win.
I think something's missing in Buffalo, and I kind of said that, leading up to the season. I'm not Bills Mafia it up. I think they're going to win the East, and I think they're going to.
Miami's going to give them a run for their money. I told you Miami was going to give New England a hard time. I mean, Miami. That's another game. That's another shocking. That was a shocker to me.
I don't believe in Tua, nor do I believe in Mac Jones. So, I don't think Buffalo is going to really have a problem winning that division. I don't think Buffalo is going to be in the AFC Championship game like they were a year ago.
No,
I don't think Buffalo has a prayer to be in the Super Bowl.
No,
but we'll see. It's 1 week, but what I'm looking for in week 1 is my preseason product.
Kansas City for 3.5 quarters certainly looked like they were going to lose.
Well, the Browns are good.
Yeah.
And if that jackass –
But then the Browns became the Browns in the fourth quarter and gave up.
Well, if that jackass doesn't drop the punt, who knows how that game –
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know what? You kind of got the feeling that the Chiefs, when they got the ball back, were going to march down the field and do something.
You can't make mistakes like that against the Chiefs, especially in Arrowhead.
Oh, no.
You can't.
I mean, the Chiefs are still the team to beat in the AFC, no question.
So I agree to the poll. The Eagles were the most impressive Week 1 team. Agree for there's a million reasons you can point to on why the Eagles were the most impressive team. Brad, you obviously disagree. Who do you think was the most impressive team?
The Saints. I mean, that, as I said, to beat the Packers on a neutral field, 38-3 is it's mind-boggling that happened. I mean, especially after last year, the way Green Bay handled them in the playoffs, that was a shock. I mean, you can't not think that wasn't shocking to see that. I mean, there were a few very, very big surprises. The Texans slaughtering Jacksonville, that was surprising. But I mean, I can't be impressed by a team that's as bad as the Texans. I mean, both those teams are pretty awful right now. So
I can't be impressed with a team that is going to win 1 game, maybe 2.
Yeah, that's
you can probably say that about the Jaguars. We do agree. I mean, look, the Eagles were very impressive.
Was it the most impressive win? I mean, they beat the Falcons. Yes, they beat the crap out of them, and you got to give them credit for that because a lot of us, including me, expected the Eagles to win 3-4 games this year and be awful. And it would appear that that's probably not going to happen. They're certainly looking better than that. So you got to give them that. But to beat a team that lost in the championship round last year of the playoffs and to beat them that badly is pretty surprising because, I mean, again, the game wasn't in New Orleans. It wasn't inside. It was kind of a road game for both teams, although it seemed like there were more Saints fans there than Packer fans. But still, that's impressive. That was just – I mean, listen, we know Winston has some ability. And now that he's on a team that, a high-octane team with a great running game, maybe they're going to be maybe they just might be that kind of a team this year.
I think Jameis is going to have a good year.
Yeah, I think so, too. I like their coach. I mean, he's always been good, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe Winston finally stops forcing the ball in and stops.
He's a slinger, though. That's not going to change. And you don't really want that to change because you want him to be himself. You don't want to change
listen, let's be honest, though. Having Kamara on your team, that really helps. And having a great offensive line like they do, that helps, too. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think Tampa Bay has had that kind of a team when he was there.
Become an A2D member. We're introducing A2D memberships, $9.99 a month. You get some amazing perks, including shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pop Podcast. Join today. Let's get to some comments here. Who impressed you? Saints impressed Brad. The Eagles impressed me. What do you think out there, fam? We'll get to all your comments. We got Week 1 NFL. We got Monday Night Football, and we'll get a little baseball in at the back end like we always do. But it is football season here in Philadelphia, and I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be more proud of my football team for yesterday.
What do you think happens next week against the 49ers?
Well, we're going to get to that.
That's going to be
my opinion.
That's going to be a lot bigger of a test.
Well, like I said, I'm very excited. I'm very proud of my football team, but I didn't see anything yesterday that moves me off my 8-9 preseason prognostication. I don't think they're going to win the NFC East. Now, these opinions are evolving. Dallas loses to Tampa Thursday. Dallas has another somewhat difficult game, a team in the Chargers who I thought was overrated. They go into Washington. They get a big win on the road. So, is Dallas going to be 0-2? The Giants stink, just like I told you they were going to. They get.
I can't even defend that. They were awful.
Particularly
their defense. I mean, you know what? I'm not surprised that the offense wasn't all very good, but the defense to be that bad, that really surprised me. They made Teddy Bridgewater look like. I mean, they made him look like Dak Prescott for crying out loud.
I mean, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a decent NFL quarterback.
You know what? I don't think he's good. I think the Giants' defense just stunk yesterday.
Well,
if the Giants if the Giants' defense is going to play like that this season, it's going to be. It doesn't matter what Daniel Jones does. They're going to end up losing 11, 12 games if they play like that.
And they're going to have a big game against the Washington football team on Thursday Night Football.
They do seem to rise to the occasion against that team.
Traditionally, Daniel Jones plays well against the Washington football team. So we're going to see how that shakes out. We're going to cover all these games and early leans at the end of the show. But Matt Spillane's in the house. He was surprised that they played that well. I know Atlanta stinks, but you have to dominate teams like this, and they did. On to the next one, which is a much bigger test than the Dirty Birds. Yes. Now, Brad, if they win the home opener against the Niners,
that would be impressive.
Then you have my attention. Then we're adapting win-loss. Then maybe I'm 8-9. Maybe I go to 9-8. Maybe I go to 10-7.
I think you go more like 10-7 if they're good enough to beat San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco lost Mostert, but I mean it's big deal. That's not that big of a deal. They still have plenty of
running back. They've been losing. They lose running backs every year. They plug guys in.
Exactly.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good side. I'll tell you what, they were handing Detroit their lunch, and then they seemed to go to sleep, and all of a sudden, Detroit made a furious comeback.
Brad, and you know what? I wouldn't really put too much stock into that because they just took their foot off the gas.
Oh, clearly,
on the road, and
however, Detroit did get to the 25-yard line before the 49ers woke up and said, "Okay, that's enough."
But I think the most important thing of what you just said is the Niners woke up and said that's enough, and they got the win.
No, they did. They did.
Matt Spillane, he agrees with Rob. Holy smoke! Someone in the comment agrees with Rob Brinkman. Doug never called a game to his players' strengths in certain situations. Glad he's gone. I mean, I don't want to say glad he's gone, but I mean, I certainly have less agita.
That's a little harsh when the guy did.
I certainly have less agita watching the football games now that a coach that actually knows his ass from his elbow is calling the plays. I don't like the highlighter thing though, Nick. He wears that highlighter vertical. He looks like a big dork. But if he's going to win football games, he can wear his highlighters however he wants, I guess.
Exactly. If he has his team playing great football and on all and firing on all cylinders like yesterday against the 49ers, then you know what? Then we have to really start changing our position about the Philadelphia Eagles this season.
Frank, can you put Jake's comment up? Jake, I love Jake. He's great work for us. He does social media stuff. He's on Fan Friday. He's on A2D Wednesday night. This is what I can't do today after that game. This team can be a serious problem in the NFC if they stay healthy and continue to play the way they did on Sunday. I can't shift.
I can't go there.
I can't shift from 8-9 to, being legitimate contenders to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl based on yesterday. Couldn't be happier. Proud to be an Eagles fan. I can't remember the last time a game finished and I came on these airwaves and said I was proud to be an Eagles fan. So I'm not proud to be a Phillies fan. They stink. They lose 2 out of 3 of the Rockies again. Aaron Nola.
Actually, 3 out of 4, but
was it 3 out of 4?
Yeah. I don't get that team.
That just shows how engaged I am in the Phillies because they stink. Why would I be engaged in a team that stinks? Just it calls me agita. I'm certainly not in on the Sixers right now because they're just an absolute mess.
Listen, the season is doesn't start till what, November?
Yeah, but
it's a while. It's still a while down the road.
Good Lord, the Sixers, they're just as much agita as the Phillies.
Listen, the Sixers will figure it out.
I don't know if they're going to figure it
out. Once they figure it out, they can move on, and they have Joel Embiid. The team will be run through Joel Embiid, and they'll find somebody to fill Ben's shoes.
And you have the Flyers, who were a major disappointment last year. So
the Flyers
team is getting the ball.
The Flyers should be better. The problem is, and your team has the same problem my team does. We're playing in the best division in the NHL. The Metropolitan Division is just loaded. When you consider who's in that division right now, what we have to hope is that finally Washington and Pittsburgh start showing their age. Because the Islanders.
My point is with the Eagles is we're going to get the ball. We're getting the ball rolling in the right direction. A team I can stand behind and be proud of, and not just be ripping my hair out every Sunday.
They needed to win. They definitely needed to win Game 1, just to get the fan base engaged. And we'll see what happens next Sunday. But 1-0 is a good thing. That's what you
had the home openers next week against the San Francisco 49ers. And that place is going to be rocking. It would have been rocking anyway, but it's going to be extra rocking being one.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. You got the win under your belt. Everybody's going to be out there. Everybody's going to be going nuts. If the Eagles can get off to a good start, maybe try to get an early lead, then we'll see what happens. The one thing you don't want to do is let the 49ers get ahead and take the steam out of the fans. The key is going to be getting ahead in the first quarter, doing your thing, running the football, the quarterback making plays. That's what you're going to need to do. And hopefully for them, things will work out in that way. But we'll see. Football every week. Every week seems to be a different entity. Some weeks teams look like they're going to go undefeated, and then next weeks they look terrible. By the way, I was right on about Cincinnati and Minnesota, wasn't I?
Yes, and don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted out there. Like, I'm excited. I'm proud of the Eagles being my football team. They did great yesterday, but I'm still at 8-9. No division championship, no playoffs. I think that I'm still at the point where this is going to be right around a 500 season, over 6.5 wins, right around a 500 season, and you're going to have 3 first-round picks because Carson Wentz is going to reach the threshold, and you have Miami's first-round pick. So, opening day next year, that's when I have my elevated expectations. Not this year. Not yet, anyway. Could change.
It could be a year early. We'll see, though. I mean, again, we'll see what kind of game the quarterback has.
I just want to urge fans, be excited, be proud.
He's going to be under the gun because the 49ers defense is very good. And we'll see what kind of an offense the Eagles put on the field next week. That's going to be the big test for them.
Brian Wilson's in the house. Eagles played really well. However, I'd say Pittsburgh and Arizona were more impressive. Now, the Steelers.
Arizona was a shocker to me too, by the way.
Yeah, Kyler Murray played great. They got pretty decent production out of their running back, Chase Edmonds.
I mean, I got to tell you something. Shame on Tennessee. You would think after all the games they played against Jackson, you would think that they would have an idea of how to play against a quarterback who can run.
Yeah, but Kyler Murray's a different beast. Kyler Murray can actually throw the football.
Well, so can Lamar, but I mean...
No, he can't. Lamar stinks, man.
Well, Lamar can throw the football.
I think the NFL is about to smack Lamar Jackson right in the face this year. I think I'd be really surprised if the Ravens made the playoffs this year. I mean, they're snake bitten.
Listen, it's a tough division.
They're absolutely snake bitten with all these injuries. And, the third year with these running gadget quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, who can't throw accurately worth a lick in this league, the third year, which is, I believe this is Lamar Jackson's third year starting, that's when, it kind of hits the fan. So I'm not in on the Ravens at all this year.
Third year or fourth year?
If it's fourth year, then even more makes my point even more.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the Ravens is they are banged up, but we'll see. I mean, let's get an idea what happens against Oakland tonight. Oakland has a lousy defense,
but I mean Arizona,
Vegas. But Arizona, that surprised me. I got to be honest with you, and the fact that Arizona's defense played so well as well. I mean,
Chandler Jones. Can we get a double team on Chandler Jones? He has 5 sacks. Are you going to do something? I don't know. I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed in Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans coaching staff yesterday. This is a team that I believe I picked to go to the playoffs.
I picked them to win the division. Although I'll tell you what, the Colts were very unimpressive yesterday.
No, but Seattle's really good.
Yeah, but the Colts.
I know that's fun to do. But, Brad, getting back to Vrabel and the Titans, the schedule came out in March?
Right.
You're going to have Kyler Murray week 1 and the dynamic things he can do all summer long. And they had no answers.
Not only that, but, you've played against Lamar Jackson, who's a very similar type of player. By now you should, you've played Lamar Jackson several times. You should have a pretty good idea of how to defend a guy like that. And yet they had no clue. They had no – they got picked apart.
They got picked apart by Kyler Murray. You think you have a plan for DeAndre Hopkins?
You would
all
think
summer
so.
long? He had 2 touchdowns, and you get beat over the top twice by Christian Kirk, who's – he's okay.
My problem more or less was what were you doing against DeAndre Hopkins? How do you I don't get it. I don't get it.
And then, you get down early, big. I mean, you're down 38-13 at one point, and you can't use your bread and butter, which is Derrick Henry.
No, you get down like that, you take Henry out of the game.
And then Wilson also mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very impressive.
That was an impressive win against a good team on the road. That was impressive.
You go into Buffalo, you get the win. I know Najee Harris didn't really set the world on fire in terms of his stat line, but I think the perceived balance that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is going to have is going to be a huge improvement. A lot of people want to say that Steelers have a bad offensive line, which might be the case. I don't think it's the best offensive line.
But you know what? They're well coached and they play smart. They get the ball. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger gets rid of the ball quickly, so he doesn't get a lot of sacks. And they've got good receivers, and they got smart receivers. You don't see him dropping the ball a whole heck of a lot, and you don't see that team turning the ball over. I mean, they're a very smart team, and that's kind of why they are able to continue to succeed. Again, the season's early. Buffalo, that was a very disappointing loss if you're a Buffalo fan, but Buffalo has plenty of time to come back and do what they have to do to win this division. But I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was last year. New England is better. Certainly Miami looks pretty good. Their defense especially looks pretty good. We'll see what happens. Keep in mind, I mean, Miami has a second-year quarterback and New England has a first-year quarterback. So that should be enough to keep Buffalo on top at least this year. But Buffalo's got to start making improvements. They got to show that they can beat good teams, because they're starting to get into a habit against elite teams where they don't beat elite teams. And if they want to be considered a Super Bowl contender, which I'm sure they want to do at this point, it's time for them to start winning some games against top competition, especially at home.
Look at Susie Colbert on Monday Night Countdown. Does she not look better looking every season?
She does.
Every year. Every year. Better looking. Good for her. Proud of her. Just like I'm proud of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jason Koch checking us out on Facebook. Peterson called long developing routes for the receivers with a broken down O-line and no running game. What a clown. In-game adjustments, in-game play calling, not Doug Peterson's strength. He was a player's coach. I thank him immensely for delivering a Super Bowl to the city, but I think it was the right call to move on from Doug.
It's time.
Colin Anderson, Jason Koch also again should stress to the DNs this week to contain the edges, because San Fran like to run pre-motion snap with handoffs and misdirection plays. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Gannon versus Kyle Shanahan as a play caller, that's going to be a very interesting matchup, and we'll see if Jonathan Gannon is up to the task, because Kyle Shanahan, he's been in the Super Bowl in this league as head coach with a quarterback that I don't think is that good in Jimmy Garoppolo. Colin Anderson, Jameis Winston showed the league why he went number 1 overall. Brad touched on that. Yes, I think Jameis Winston's going to have a good season, Brad.
Oh, absolutely. Again, that was, to me, that's a shock. I mean, 38-3 against Green Bay. I mean, if anybody saw that coming, please let me know, because we all thought New Orleans would have a drop off this year. I mean, I picked them to barely be able to make the playoffs, to be the number 7 seed as a playoff team. Certainly, the third wild card. They sure as hell look better than that. I mean, and Tampa Bay better watch themselves, and they better play well, because that team really looked ready to go. While Green Bay, I don't know what was going on with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers played that game like he was like on another planet.
Yeah, the Packers played like they didn't have a proper offseason program with their franchise quarterback. They played like they didn't play any of their starters in the preseason. Look, if you're worried about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, grow up and get a clue. You don't know anything.
I don't think there's anything to worry about. I'm just impressed with the way New Orleans New Orleans played like a team that was stewing all summer about how they played Green Bay, and they came out looking for blood. They were bloodthirsty. The Packers came out looking like they wanted to have a couple of Mai Tais and watch. Because basically that's how it ended up being. I mean, Kamara was dominant. Winston was unbelievable. And one thing Winston does bring to the Saints now that, to be quite frank, Drew Brees hasn't been able to bring the last couple of years is the long passing game. I mean, he still has a great arm, and I mean, he can throw the ball. He can sling it.
And Taylor Bowers, he just timed in, but I couldn't be prouder of the Eagles. I thought they were the most impressive team in Week 1. I thought they were dominant in the trenches. I thought Jalen Hurts showed me that there's possibly a franchise quarterback in there somewhere. Devontae Smith looked great, and Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon looked the part. They knew their ass from their elbow, which I couldn't really say about Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz towards the end of that era. So A+ for the Eagles for me, Taylor. Brian Daly, JP McFerny checking in from Hotlanta. Disagree, probably the Cardinals. So he likes what the Cardinals were doing. How could you not? They dismantled the Tennessee Titans. Yes, Brian Daly, he disagrees with the poll. He thinks the Texans, despite playing Jacksonville, was the most impressive. I mean, I hear you. The bar is really low down there in Houston. And you had Tyrod Taylor do some interesting things, and Cooks had over 100 yards. Mark Ingram had a touchdown or two. But, I mean, it's tough for me to get excited when that's probably the only game they're going to win all season.
Yeah, I would agree with you about that. Jacksonville, very disappointed with how Jacksonville played. That I would have thought there'd be a little bit more in the tank with Jacksonville.
But they
certainly had a rough first game. I wonder when the last time a rookie quarterback won his first game.
It's had to have happened.
No, I'm sure it has. I'm just wondering when the last time that happened, though.
I think Carson won his first game.
Did he? He may have. He was pretty good his rookie season, for especially considering it was his first year. I'm trying to remember. Peyton Manning lost his first 10 games.
I think Brady won his first start, but I don't know if he was a rookie.
Yeah, that I don't know.
He was a rookie.
But I mean, that was a long time. That was a long time ago, though. If we have to go all the way back to Brady, that was a long time ago. But it doesn't happen very often. So it's hard to win with. I wonder if Marino won his first game.
You can answer that better than me.
If anybody did, I would think it may have been him. Because I mean, Marino was great in his rookie year.
Well, they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. They lost to those great 49er teams.
Colin Anderson, he's checking us out on Facebook. Cleveland impressed me, even though they lost. It's tough to be the most impressive team in Week 1 when you lose. I agree with you. They did play well.
They played well, but you know what? When they needed to stop Kansas City, they couldn't do it.
And that guy dropped that punt. Like you just can't do that.
I agree. That
you give Mahomes and the Chiefs the ball on the 10-yard line. I mean,
yeah, it was a perfect snap. I mean, the guy just took his eye off the ball. But you had the feeling that the Chiefs had scored a touchdown, and they got them on a 3-and-out. You had a feeling when the Chiefs got the ball. Did you not think? I don't know if you were watching the game, but did you not think because I actually was watching that game at that time, and when they punted, when they were going to punt, I was just saying to myself, "This is it. They're gonna mark the ball right down the field. The Browns are not going to be able to hold them off," and they weren't able to. And until somebody actually is able to do that to Kansas City, I'm still going to consider them the team to beat.
Top of the hour, 8 o'clock. You're listening to Sports Hounds exclusively on A2DRadio.com. hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Don't miss a damn thing this football season here at A2D Radio. Live every week on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram. Download us in podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Tommy Arnone's in the house. I'll agree. From what people expected and what they got, it's pretty impressive. Matt Walsh, Matthew Stafford looked extremely impressive with the Rams last night. Looked like an MVP candidate out there.
That, by the way, that was my 10-star pick.
Yes, the Rams.
That was as easy a game as you're ever going to see.
See, my 10-star picks, they sucked yesterday.
I won
the little guys. So it made up for a little bit. I had Washington.
My one game, the Jets pushed because they came back and it was 5, and the Bears got smoked. And the Bears are going to be a bad football team this year.
First off, the fact that Justin Fields isn't starting in Chicago, based on a promise that Matt Nagy made to Andy Dalton, is a travesty. It's a disservice to the Chicago Bears, their team, their fans, their organization. It's just bad. Justin Fields is clearly the best football player, best quarterback in that locker room. He's the best equipped. He has the best skill set to lead the Bears to victory this season. And for Matt Nagy's going to lose his locker room if he doesn't put Justin Fields in quick.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think it would have mattered last night. I think
that team has no chance, though, Brad, with Andy Dalton in there.
I would agree with you, but all I'm saying is I think last night it wouldn't have mattered. However, the season, there's still 16 more games to go, and I don't think he should wait very long to get him in there because their future is there.
The future's now in this league, Brad. The future's now. Especially with a coach on the hot seat like Nagy, especially when you tossed away a quarterback that led you to the playoffs. I know Mitchell Trubisky, I know he's the butt of the joke here at ATD Radio a lot, but he led the Bears to the playoffs last year. And but
it wasn't really him. It was their defense.
Whatever. I mean, their defense, he proved he can put up points, and he's athletic and he's mobile, and to just throw him away like a piece of garbage so he can go be a backup in Buffalo so you can start Andy Dalton on Sunday Night Football, that's insulting to your locker room. That's insulting to your fan base. You trade up with the New York Giants to grab Justin Fields. Put him in. Your job's on the line, Matt. I don't understand the Bears at all. I just don't get it.
I think you'll probably see some changes within the next week or two. I just don't think that was the right game for him to play. That would be a.
What's the difference?
Because they would have lost anyway.
You don't know that. Probably yes.
Yeah, they were going to beat the Rams. The Rams in the first game. I mean, the way Stafford played yesterday, I don't think it would have mattered who was quarterback in the Bears last night.
Pierre Irby, he's checking in on Facebook. You play in the worst division. I'm going to assume that he's talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. And, look, I can't sit here and pound the table and tell you that the NFC East is a good division. I can't. But you play who's in front of you. That's what you do. And you went on the road and you beat a bad football team in a dominant fashion the way you're supposed to beat a bad football team. 32-6. You didn't let up a touchdown.
They did what they're supposed to do. You don't have to apologize for them winning.
Larry Lindsay, Lamar can throw. He just needs to go to a passing academy to learn how to read progressions or team up with the Manning brothers. Okay, well, being able to throw the ball in this league, Larry, and we appreciate you comment and appreciate you listening there on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button. But that's part of it. That's part of it. Like, every quarterback in the league can launch the ball a quarter mile down the field. They can launch the football over them mountains like Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite. It's about being able to read defenses, being able to throw guys open, being able to make good decisions. That's all part of being able to stand in the pocket. Tom Arnone says it all the time. You can't be a franchise quarterback in this league if you can't throw the ball 20 to 25 times from the pocket. And Lamar Jackson can't. And if you think he can, I don't know what you're watching.
Let's see. I'm looking at his numbers. Okay. He had in 2018, which was his first year. He was 6-1, 99 for 170, 1,200 yards. In 2019, he was 265 for 401, 66% percentage, 36 touchdown passes. That's pretty good.
That's his MVP season, correct?
Right. Last year, he was 11-4, 64% completion ratio, 2,757 yards in 15 games, 26 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions last year, which is a little high.
Okay, and what happened in the playoffs when push came to the shove and he couldn't run around and make plays? What happened to the Ravens in the playoffs?
They lost to the Buffalo Bills on the road.
And they got punked out by the Titans his MVP season.
Well, they did beat the Titans last year, though.
They beat the Titans last year, yeah, but that's great.
I'm just saying,
great. 66% percentage MVP award. That's all fine and good, but Lamar Jackson, he doesn't have it from the pocket to be able to win a Super Bowl in this league. He can't. Lamar Jackson going to have a big number.
Rob, there have been far worse quarterbacks who've won Super Bowls than Lamar Jackson, so I don't know about that.
Yes, but all those quarterbacks that are worse than Lamar Jackson have proven that they can stand in the pocket 25 times and make big-time throws. Nick Foles, Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, albeit maybe not at the clip that a Brett Favre or Peyton Manning.
Dilfer was pretty bad. Doug Williams wasn't very good either. The fellow from the Redskins when they beat Denver, he wasn't all that great. There have been Jeff Hostetler certainly was no superstar. Neither was Foles. I think he was better than all the quarterbacks we just mentioned. I think he can win a Super Bowl. The Ravens just have to have a better team around him. When he's on top of his game, he's almost unstoppable. He draws so much attention to himself, because of the threat of him running. That helps his receivers get wide open. Now, if you're asking me about him throwing into a tight window, you're right. He probably is not great about throwing the ball into a tight window. So his progressions are not all that great. But you look at his numbers. His numbers are pretty good passing. He's not gonna gap 4,000 to 5,000 yards passing because that team runs the ball a lot.
Lamar Jackson's going to have a big night because Rob was hating. Well, I think Lamar Jackson might have a pretty good stat line tonight. I fully expect there to be points in this Monday Night Football game, and I fully expect. I don't know. Let's get it. They're singing the national anthem right now. Let's get a little pregame talk in here for Monday Night Football, inaugural Monday Night Football game. I'm very disappointed there's not 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, but we got.
Yeah, what's with that? Why are we getting 2?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they should do it every week and get rid of the stupid Thursday game.
I would agree with you. I hate the Thursday games. Thursday games are just you're just asking for guys to get hurt. I don't like the fact that teams are playing 3 days after. Football is too rough a sport to be doing that all the time.
But you got the Ravens, you got the Raiders. Raiders are at home dogs on a Monday night. Raiders getting 3.5 points, over under around 50, depending on your book. Brad, I'm calling the upset tonight. I am calling for the Las Vegas Raiders to pull the upset in their home opener against just a snake-bitten Baltimore Ravens team. Just too many injuries. I don't see them having balance tonight, having a couple running backs. Tyson Williams, whatever his first name is, him coming out of this, he's going to be able to provide the Ravens balance. Latavius Murray just got cut from the Saints. He probably doesn't even know the playbook that well. They
still have Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards tore his ACL.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
The last practice before the season, starting quarterback Marcus Peters and Gus Edwards tore their ACL.
Jeez.
They're snake bit.
So who the hell's going to run
They
the
signed
ball?
Le'Veon Bell. They signed Latavius Murray. And they have this guy that they like.
I didn't know about that, to be honest with you. Didn't know that that he got hurt too. Wow, that's just wow. They're missing a lot. They're missing a lot. It's that, you know what? Somehow, though, I think the Ravens are going to win this game. I still have to take the Ravens. The Raiders still have no defense. I don't think that's going to change.
I don't disagree. I don't think the Raiders are a good football team. I think they're going to have a top 5 pick in next year's draft because I don't think Derek Carr's good at all. But one thing the Raiders, like, because you remember last year, Brad, the Raiders started pretty good.
They did.
I remember
they won that Monday night game against the Saints. That was very impressive. I don't see it. The Ravens have a good defense still, very good defense. They're going to score some points. I don't see it with the Raiders.
So yeah, I mean, it's down to -3. So I mean, I like the Raiders in this football game. I just took a money line at plus 155. So getting 1.5 times your 1.5.
No, that's a good. That's
$1.50 on your bet there. Josh Jacobs is active. There was talk that he might be inactive. I really like this Kenyon Drake signing. I think Kenyon Drake's a good running back, and I think
he's okay. I mean, he's the kind of guy. If you put him on a good team, he'll be a good player. I don't know about playing on the Raiders though.
Look, I'm not the biggest Josh Jacobs fan. But yeah, I mean, that's Monday night. It's about to kick off. I got the Raiders. Brad's got the Ravens. I have the Raiders money line plus 155. I think it's a solid bet. I wish I bet earlier when the line was at 4.5. But I mean, it's been bet down to 3. So
that's another reason. That's another reason why I would tend to go with the Ravens.
And you got an over/under of 50.5. I think that's about right.
That's a high. That's pretty high, don't you think?
Let's see, like 24 is 48. So like a 27 to it's got to be like 27-24.
I guess that could happen.
For the over to hit, which I think's feasible. If I had to bet, I don't have a strong lean on the over under here, but if I had to,
I don't know that the Raiders are going to score enough points to.
I think the Raiders have a very interesting receiving core. I love Bryan Edwards, second-year guy, former second-round pick out of South Carolina. If he's available in your fantasy football league, go pick him up now before he goes off tonight. I think Henry Ruggs can't be any worse than he was.
I'm definitely worried about Jones, Tom.
Let's talk about some New York sports. We got Blue City Empire Sports checking in on YouTube. If the Eagles lose to the Niners, I don't want to hear Eagles fans bragging. Beat the 49ers, then you could talk. And let's be honest, if the Falcons, it's the Falcons, so who cares? And by the way, my Giants stink. So, Brad, the Giants
are in agreement with that. That was as bad. I'll tell you what, that was as bad a game as I've seen in a while. That's a game where the score, when they say the score doesn't reflect the game, well, it was worse than 27-13. That game felt like a 50-0 game because the Giants defense couldn't get off the field. I mean, it was ridiculous. They give up 3 first downs on 4th down. I mean, they were terrible defensively, and they barely had the ball. I mean, that was part of the problem. Daniel Jones was okay, but he wasn't good enough. The problem with Daniel Jones is that he's one of these quarterbacks who can move the team between the 20s, but he can't seem to make the big play to get touchdowns. He just doesn't do it enough. And the Giants had no running game at all yesterday. Their offensive line, they did give Jones protection. I mean, he only got sacked twice, so you can't really fault that. But they couldn't run the ball at all. I mean, the offensive line couldn't block. They couldn't get anybody. They couldn't get anybody any holes. Saquon Barkley had 26 yards and 10 carries. I mean, he was completely ineffective. First game back from a very serious injury. I get that. I would just hope, and again, it wasn't Jones yesterday as much as, in my opinion, as much as it was the defense. The defense was terrible. I mean, you can't. I think they had 31 minutes of possession after the third quarter. I mean, that cannot happen. I mean, this is the NFL. You can't let the other team have the ball that much. It just that can't happen.
What's the narrative in New York today, Brad?
No, we're beating. Listen, everybody is already, everybody's already screaming, "Fire Gettleman! Jones sucks." The defense sucks. Patrick Graham didn't have the team ready to play, and the most is Jason Garrett. These Giant fans, they want blood. They want Garrett the hell out. And to be honest with you, I'm not happy about Garrett either. He has no initiative. He has no sense of imagination. I mean, he had all the talent in the world when he was coaching the Cowboys, and they weren't a very good offense with all that talent. So why should I think that he's going to do anything with a team that has far less talent than the Cowboys did all those years right now? I mean, he's a problem. And
you look at the box score, Brad. I mean, Daniel Jones, 22 of 37, 267 yards. 22 of 37, that's not nearly efficient enough.
That's not that bad. I mean, he had a lot of yardage. Daniel Jones was not the problem yesterday. The problem was the defense. The defense couldn't get off the field. Denver basically controlled the ball the whole game. They couldn't stop the run. They made Teddy Bridgewater look like the second coming of Lamar Jackson, the way he was running around back there. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I am not going to sit here and tell you Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. Okay? The Giants were terrible. No excuses. They were horrible yesterday. And if they're gonna play like that this season, they're going to be as bad as you said they were. Plain and simple. There's no excuse for that.
I mean, I think they're a last place football team. I really do. I don't think Daniel Jones.
I don't know about that. I still am not sure that they're going to be a last place football team.
Well, I mean,
it's a long way to go.
You look at them running the ball. If you're not going to give Daniel Jones any balance, and I know it's Saquon's first game back, but you've run the ball 20 times for 60 yards, averaging 3 yards a clip. Like that's not going to get it done at all.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough. But again, how many? If you take a look at how many plays Denver ran yesterday, that's a problem. I mean, they never had the ball. If you're watching the game, Denver had the ball the entire game. That's what it felt like. And when they they scored a touchdown in the second quarter right before halftime. They had the ball the last 6 minutes of the second quarter, and then they come out with an 8-minute drive to start the third quarter. That's 15 football minutes of not having the ball. And then it's 17-7. And the Giants are driving. When they get the ball back, they get to the 25-yard line, and then Daniel Jones runs the ball, gets a nice 7-yard gain, and then he fumbles. And at that point, you knew the game was over because the Giants are coming back from 10 points down with the other team having the pumpkin.
No, I didn't watch much of this game because there was just more intriguing games on TV, the Saints and the Packers, and you had the Browns and the Chiefs. But all I have to see, you cover up the score, cover up everything, is look at Denver rushing. Denver Broncos rushed 28 times, 165 yards. That's almost a 6-yard clip.
Exactly. That's something the Giants defense yesterday was terrible. Listen, you can't when your offense has no rhythm because they're not getting the ball because they're sitting on the bench for 6, 7, 8 minutes at a time. What do you expect is going to happen? I mean, the defense. I totally blame the defense yesterday for that performance. That was as bad a performance as I've seen from that defense since Judge became the the head coach.
You're supposed to be a defensive team, though.
They weren't yesterday, and I'm telling you, Denver is not that good. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. Jerry Jeudy got hurt in the second quarter, so I'm not convinced about Denver being all that good. I just think the Giants were that bad yesterday. They just got torched on the defensive side of the ball. The offense didn't get the ball enough. When they put together some good drives, but again, when they got into the red zone, Daniel Jones couldn't get the ball in the end zone, and they ended up getting so far behind they couldn't kick field goals. They had to try to get touchdowns, and they couldn't do it. And this is where you start thinking, well, a franchise quarterback is supposed to get the ball in the end zone, and he couldn't do it. So it's really it's getting to a point right now where if the Giants start this season 0-2, then you're going to have a very much hot seat for both Judge and Gettleman. Gettleman, I think, is on the hot seat anyway this year. You're going to see a different general manager at the end of the season. You're going to see a different coach if they start playing like this all season. That cannot continue.
Is there optimism that they can? Is there optimism that they can right the ship?
Huh?
Is there optimism in Giant Land that they can right this ship? Because
most Giant fans are pretty defeatist. I'm not willing to write off the season after one game. Okay, because I've seen in Giant teams before, not this particular edition, but I've seen seasons before where the Giants have not played well opening week and then end up having a pretty good season. So let's give them a chance. Let's see how they do against the Washington football team. Daniel Jones has always played very well against the Washington football team. The Giants have really played well against that team. They've beaten them like a drum over the last 2 years. In spite of how bad the Giants have been, that's the one team that they always seem to beat. So let's see what happens there.
Is that game in New York?
No, it's in Washington. And that's probably good because the Giants don't want to play another home game right now. I can tell you that right now.
No.
If they played at home on the first drive and they had to go 3 and out and they had a punt, they'd be booed off the field. And that's why I'm saying I think it might be good for them to not be playing at home week 2 and go against a team that they've had a lot of success against. So let's see what happens week 2. Hopefully it gets better. But if it doesn't, then start preparing that hot seat because I don't think you're going to see too much patience from Giant fans. And John Mara is going to start getting some severe abuse. He got some severe abuse today. I'll tell you, he really took a beating about this whole thing with Gettleman. Nobody's happy with that.
Don 19's in the house. Boy, Don, your Lions huffed and puffed and just couldn't get it done at the end. I commend them for fighting like they did. Blue City Empire Sports. Daniel Jones is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I feel like Jason Garrett only opens the playbook when he played against the Cowboys. Do you have a comment? You have a comment on that?
I think Jason Garrett stinks against everybody. So, as far as I'm concerned, Jason Garrett should not have been brought back. He should have been fired. He's terrible. Him with the dinks and dunks. You've got some pretty darn good receivers on this team. Let's throw the ball down the field. One thing Jones had yesterday was plenty of time to throw. He didn't throw any interceptions, okay? But he had that one fumble, and it just seems with Jones, when he fumbles, he picks the very, very worst times to fumble. It seems like when the Giants are in dire need to do something, he'll march the team down the field, and this is a pattern of behavior. He'll march the team down the field, and then he makes a critical turnover, and it always seems to be a fumble. He's not bad with the interceptions. He's usually pretty good about that, but it's always these fumbles. And, yesterday he should have dove. It was first down. You're picking up 7 yards. Get down to the ground and get up to play the next play. What are you doing? You don't have to fight for extra yardage. It's just ridiculous.
And we got a question from Don 19. Does Aaron Rodgers even care anymore? Yeah, he cares.
Oh, boy. I'll tell you what. No,
yeah, he cares. The Packers are going to be just fine. And Don 19, your Lions better duck next Monday night against because they draw what's going to be a very angry Aaron Rodgers and a very pissed off Green Bay Packers team.
And worse yet, an embarrassed Packers team.
I think it's going to be
that game was an embarrassment. Nobody wants to get embarrassed on national TV 2 weeks in a row because everybody who had already seen the early games that saw their own football team play was watching that game. Okay, and that was ugly.
So, I mean, Don 19, I mean, I feel bad for your Lions next week. That's a tough draw. That's a tough draw in the schedule to begin with, drawing the Niners and the Packers in the first 2 weeks. But, I mean, I really don't see the Packers being 0-2.
No.
Especially after that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if you saw anything with this game that's on right now, but Derek Carr made like a 50-yard run.
It was actually Marcus Mariota.
Oh, it was Mariota? Okay.
Yeah.
Mariota made a 50-yard run. And after that, I think they got the ball.
Yeah.
They got the ball all the way to the 12-yard line of the Ravens, and then they just punted from like the 40 or 45-yard line.
Yeah, they had a holding penalty. They snapped the ball. They had a bad snap, and then that's why they're the Raiders. That's why they're going to have a top 5 pick. Chuck Manaran's in the house. I'm sure he's excited.
That looked so much like the Giants' opening drive yesterday. Jones throws a bomb to Slayton for 40 yards, and the Giants get down to the 20-yard line of the Broncos, and then a sack. No, not a sack. I'm sorry, a penalty, a negative play, and then another negative play, and it's 4th down from the 45, and they end up punting, and they don't even get 3 points. I mean, that kind of looked like the Giants right now. Oakland definitely pulled the Giants on that drive.
I mean, Derek Carr is not. I mean, they have to run the ball. Vegas has to run the ball and set Derek Carr up for success because Derek Carr stinks. The only way he has a chance to be successful for a sustained period of time is if they have extreme balance. So we'll see what Chucky and that Raiders coaching staff has up their sleeves. Lamar Jackson, who I've been hating on for a couple of weeks now, is going to take the field. We'll see what he's got. Brad, let's do some early leans. Way too early preview of Week 2 NFL action. Interesting right off the bat, NFC East rivalry on Thursday Night Football. The Giants visit the Washington football team. The Washington football team is a 3-point favorite.
Well, I love the Giants in this game because the Giants have owned Washington. They find ways to beat them, and I don't think this is going to be any different. Terrible loss for Washington against the Chargers. That's a game I'm sure they expected to win. I know we both expected them to win that game, and they didn't. I think Washington loses this game as well.
That would be devastating because Washington is playing a first-place schedule, and it's only going to get harder.
Oh, absolutely. Well, listen, it's not like they were setting the world on fire last year. You know, they won the division at 7-9. You know, and it was a very fortunate 7-9. Let's be honest, okay? If the Eagles didn't purposely lose the game at the end, they would have been 6-10 as well. So I mean, it's not like listen, they have a tremendous defense. We know that, but offensively, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not going to get it done every week. We already know that. The Giants have always played well against him. I'm not really worried about him. I'm just more worried about the Giants not making critical mistakes against this team. But I think the Giants should be able to beat this team. And there goes Lamar for a 20-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage.
He's an unbelievable athlete. He has a great first step, and they're probably going to get 15 tacked on. Maybe.
Yeah, that was kind of a cheap shot at the end. He's unbelievable.
Don 19, thoughts on the AFC South? Texans, the only team who won yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I think the Colts are going to win that division. I really touched on
that division got beat up yesterday.
They did, but you play Seattle. Tennessee looked terrible. They'll look better. Houston and Jacksonville, they both stink. I fully expect Carson Wentz to play well enough in Indianapolis for them to win that division. I think they're the most well-rounded football team in that division. I think they're the most well-coached football team in that division, and I think they'll win that division. David Roscoe, where were you on September 11, 2001? I was in the 6th grade in school, and I came home to watch the news and realized that America would never be the same again. Where were you on September 11th, Brad?
I was at work.
Where was work at that?
SRA Associates. We were still in the Maple Shade office, and my boss, for some reason, waited till 1:30 before he sent us home, which we couldn't understand. We're being attacked, and
I would have just left.
Well, the guys who ran that company sometimes made some bonehead decisions. That was a bonehead decision that they did, but overall they were good guys. It's just I don't think they realized the magnitude of what had happened. I think a lot of people didn't at the time. I think it was such a shock.
And JP McPherny, Lamar is going to have a huge night. Like I said, mainly because Rob is legit always wrong. I'm not always wrong. No one's always anything, and I'm not always wrong. I'm actually right. If you actually you cleaned out your ears and listened to the show, I'm actually right far more often than I'm wrong. But
that was a nice catch Lamar just made, by the way,
yeah.
For the first down.
Lamar's looking good. He's got a couple of runs. He's got – we'll see about him. We'll see.
Yeah, listen, it is, as I said, this is the Raiders. The Raiders' defense is as bad as it gets.
I mean
and I know they've had a lot of injuries, but they do have Sammy Watkins on this team, and Sammy Watkins is a legit receiver when he's healthy.
And the Raiders didn't do themselves any favors by not getting any points after being on the 12-yard line and on their opening drive.
No, I just the Raiders' defense was so bad last year. What did they do? Really, anything to improve their defense?
I'm trying to think of who they picked in the draft.
I mean, their defense last year, especially towards the end of the season, their defense was horrendous. They were giving up 30 points a week. I mean, that's why I like the Ravens to win this game. I will say, it's every season is different, but I don't recall them signing any free agents that would really help the defense all that much.
They picked Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle out of Alabama, in the first round.
Okay.
Well, you get a procedure penalty on Baltimore, pushes them back. Vegas, excuse me, I keep wanting to say Oakland, but Vegas, they get a nice pass rush there. Lamar panics and throws it away.
Well, I wouldn't say panicking. I think that he made a smart play. He didn't try to force anything. What was Lamar?
He gets jumpy. He gets jumpy in the pocket there.
Well, he had to throw the ball away. Where was he going to throw it? Nobody was open.
Well, that's another problem I see with the Ravens this season. Sammy Watkins, like you touched on it, he's a good receiver when he's healthy, but he's never healthy. Marquise Brown is not really anything special. And they don't have balance with this running game like that. They try and stretch the toss play to the outside, but it's an inferior running back. And, it gets sniffed out. Now it's 3rd and long, and this is where you have to try and contain Lamar a little bit here. 3rd and 13, you need to be able to get off the field.
Absolutely.
I am seeing –
You have to make sure if you're the Raiders, you have to make sure Lamar doesn't run and get a first down running the ball, because that's where he's most dangerous. I think you're right about that. But you got to be careful with him now.
So this is a big 3rd down. Let's see if they can. Wow, they get great pressure. Great pressure off the edge.
That's a good job.
He's down, right? He can't run like that. Number this 98 guy, Crosby. I'm not sure who he is, but he's having a hell of a game here in the early going. I've never even heard of him.
No, that was a huge sack.
Well, he beats. And that's another thing with the Ravens that I don't like. They traded their best offensive lineman to the Chiefs.
Yeah, that move didn't make any sense.
Didn't make any sense.
That didn't make any sense to me.
So, I don't know. We almost get in there and block the kick. But anyway, let's continue with early leans here. Home opener in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles, a 3.5-point underdog at home to the San Francisco 49ers.
I would take the Niners.
I think I would too. The only two glimmer of hope.
I think it's going to be a close game, but I think it's going to be more like a touchdown game. I could see like 24-17, something like that.
Really, the only glimmer of hope I have for the Eagles to win their home opener here.
They got to force some turnovers.
Well, that, and you have a West Coast team coming east playing at 1, which.
Yeah, but they're already
disadvantaged.
But they're already in Detroit. So.
Yeah, but they're going back.
I know, but it's they're going to be up against it. The 49ers.
I know this is their second road game in a row.
This is true. But if you're the 49ers, you have to think that you're going to be 2-0 after.
No way, shape, or form am I betting any of my hard-earned money on the Eagles or the Niners in this game. Nor am I betting on the first game that we talked about between the Giants and the Washington football team. Those are
Blue City Empire Sports wants to see Daniel Jones use his legs more like they did in 2020. I agree with that. I mean, Daniel Jones is a terrific runner. And he does need to do that. But Daniel Jones also needs to learn to slide, and he needs to run the hell out of bounds a little bit more and not take so many hits. Because if he gets hurt and then they have to bring in Glennon, you can kiss the season goodbye because that guy's terrible.
Blue City Empire Sports. Do you guys see the Yankees and Phillies in the playoffs? Do you guys want to see a Yankees versus Philly 2009 rematch? The Phillies are not going to make the playoffs. And quite frankly, I'm not sure the Yankees are going to make the playoffs.
I don't know if the Yankees are going to make the playoffs either, although I'll tell you what, that if this win today doesn't get them going, then nothing will.
Getting back to early lead.
That was a game. They were down 5-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning, and you know what? I mean, I think the whole Yankee universe was completely disgusted about what happened last night, and then to have that happen. But then they have the wherewithal to come back. And, I mean, listen, when you have a guy like Aaron Judge in your lineup and you're down 3 runs, Aaron Judge is capable of hitting the ball over the right field wall at any time in Yankee Stadium in any kind of situation. That's exactly what he did. And I'll tell you what, if he was in the National League, he'd probably have a very good chance to be the MVP. Unfortunately, he's in the American League where a gentleman by the name of Shohei Ohtani is there, as well as Vladimir Guerrero, so he's not quite in that category this year. But he's having a hell of a year, 32 home runs, 83 RBIs. I mean, the guy's done it all for the Yankees this year. And
our next game on the slate, Buffalo Bills are going to visit the Miami Dolphins. The Bills are a 3-point road favorite.
I'll take the Dolphins in the 3.
I don't.
Yeah, I take the Dolphins in the 3 points.
3 barn burners right off the bat here. I guess I'll take the dog.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be very, very good this year. So, I mean, them getting points against Buffalo. Buffalo's kind of scaring me with the way they played yesterday. I did not like the way they played the second half, especially the fourth quarter. That was terrible.
Rams and Colts. Rams visiting the Colts. So this is the second week in a row. The Colts will be home dogs to an NFC West team.
I think they're going to get drilled again.
Getting 4.5 points.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to drill them again. Yeah, Carson Wentz against the Rams. Oh, boy.
So 3 of the 4 games we talked about are home dogs. Interesting. And then here's another home dog. The Saints are visiting the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are a 4-point home dog.
I think the Saints. You know what? I guess I would take the points again.
This is a tough slate. And there's Derek Carr just threw an interception because he stinks.
Are you surprised? I mean, he basically threw it right to the linebacker, and the linebacker didn't try to catch it. He just deflected it. That's not an interception. That's a bounce. He caught it on the bounce.
Yeah, oh my God. How do you miss that live? So we got home dogs galore in week 2.
Yeah,
now,
I got to tell you, Rob, as awesome as the Saints were against the Packers, can they actually do the same thing to the Panthers?
Take the 4.
Yeah, I take the 4.
I'm going to take Carolina in that one.
Yeah, I think that the Saints will find a way to win the game, but Carolina is going to stay right with them. I totally believe that. But Carolina is going to have to play a lot better against the Saints than they did against the Jets, because they really didn't play all that well, other than in the second quarter.
We'll take a break from the home dogs. The Cleveland Browns are going to open up in Cleveland, their home opener. They are 12.5-point favorites against the Houston Texans. I have no problem laying 12.5.
Oh, they're going to kill the Texans.
None. I have no issue at all.
Yeah, no, the Texans will be lucky to score any points in that game. Yeah, I would have no problem with that, because I think the Browns will probably win like 27-3 or something like that. By the way, where was Beckham not playing yesterday?
He was inactive yesterday. Yes.
Okay, because I was wondering, I didn't see him on the score sheet at all. That's why I was like, what the hell's going on with Beckham? Was he hurt, or was he coach's decision?
I guess his knee wasn't ready. I don't know. He was inactive.
Okay.
Here we go. More home dogs. The Jets home dogs to the Patriots. Jets getting 5.5 at home. I'll take the favorite here. I'll take the Patriots. Lay the 5.5 over the Jets.
Yeah, I don't see the Jets winning that game.
Belichick against a rookie like Zach Wilson, I think that's just.
Yeah, I think that's asking
like shooting fish in a barrel.
But you know what, though? I'll tell you what. You got. I mean, as much as you're giving the Bears head coach a hard time about not playing his quarterback, the Jets will play their rookie quarterback against a Bill Belichick coach defense. So I think you probably have to give him credit there. Blue City Sports wants to know how you would feel if the Eagles and Colts played in the Super Bowl. Jalen versus Carson.
I mean, I would be ecstatic if the Eagles win a playoff game, host a play, or in the playoffs. Let alone
if that ever happened, these fans down here would be killing Carson Wentz. They hate Carson Wentz down here. Blue City Empire Sports. Trust me about that. There's no love lost between the fans and Carson Wentz right now. Against the Chiefs, that might not be such a hate fest, but obviously they're going to want to beat Andy Reid too. But it's not a hate fest with Andy Reid. I don't think any Eagle fan that's in their right mind can hate Andy Reid. I mean, how can you hate a guy like him?
No, not at all.
So, yeah, I'm not an Eagle fan. You know, I'm a Giant fan. But even I like Andy Reid. And, you know, there's nothing not to like about Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a good guy. He's a respected coach. Does he get a little pass happy sometimes and forget about his running game? Yeah, that's probably true. But you know what? The man's been in the playoffs more times than I can count. He has won a Super Bowl, so he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame coach as soon as he's allowed to be eligible. So,
Coach stature. I mean, I don't know where you're from or what your affiliation is, but there is, and I don't hate Carson Wentz. I really don't. I think he's a little bit of a tchotch and a cheese ball, and he didn't really understand what it took to play in Philadelphia. And I think the Nick Foles coming in and having success after he got injured really messed with the mental aspect of his game. But I mean, there is venomous. The Eagles fans who hate Carson Wentz, it is venomous hate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Rob. There's no love lost there between.
Absolutely not. So I don't know. Maybe Goat Stature. Maybe he's a Carson guy. I don't know, but I mean, I was a Carson guy too, and there is no love lost between this fan base and Carson Wentz. Absolutely none. So Brad's not full of shit at all on that one. But getting back to early leans, we have the Raiders are coming east to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are laying 6. I think the Steelers are pretty good, and I think
a Monday night team, home team going on the road, or rather a team that plays on Monday night going on the road on Sunday. That's a loss
across the country, mind you.
Yeah, that's a loss. That's a loss, and that's a not cover either. I think Pittsburgh will cover the spread. They'll handle the Raiders pretty easily, I think.
More home dogs, Brad. Denver Broncos traveling to Jacksonville. Denver, a 6-point road favorite. I think that
they'll demolish Jacksonville.
I think Denver's got something going here. I think they have a very well-balanced roster.
Well, you know what? I hope that Denver is really, really a good team and that the Giants aren't as bad as I think they are. That would make me at least feel better. I think that it wouldn't take much for them to destroy a team like Jacksonville. I think they will. They to me, they looked pretty darn good against the Giants. So we'll see. I'm not. I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty easy. Let's see. I'm from this goat stature. I'm from the entire city. The fans don't hate Carson. Carson's drafting.
Yes, they do. And the second part of your statement is correct. The Eagles don't win the Super Bowl in 2017 without Carson Wentz, but fans don't like him. And you're right. All relationships don't work. The relationship between the fans and Carson Wentz in this city, I would say.
Yeah, I would disagree. I mean,
I would say it's 60-40 hate versus love.
Rob, I don't know your fan base as well as you do, but from everything I've heard and all the stuff I see on Facebook, there's no love lost between the Eagle fans and Carson Wentz, especially if he's the opponent.
Ravens on the move here. They got a 4th and 1 inside.
Only the Raiders on a 4th and 1 can give up a 40-yard touchdown.
Wow,
that's not championship football.
Is that Tayshaun Williams or whatever his name is?
Yeah, Tyson Williams, 35 yards. I'm sorry, 4th and 1 and you give up a touchdown? Really? Wow.
I mean, they just had a big stop. I mean, the last time I looked up at the game, number 98 was getting a big sack on Lamar, and then I guess they didn't do anything with their possession.
No, they went 3 and out.
I guess it was a quick 3 and out because I have the game on a huge TV in the background here, and I didn't see one single play that they ran.
Yeah, it was quick. So the Ravens take an early 7-0 lead.
Let's see. You got the Bengals and the Bears. Bears are a 3-point favorite. I'll take the dog here. I'll take the Bengals. Bengals look good.
Who are they playing?
Bengals versus Bears.
Oh, Bengals at Bears?
Yes. Bengals plus 3.
Wait, the Bears are only a 3-point favorite against the Bengals?
Yeah, I like the Bengals here.
Yeah, that's a fishy spread to me.
Unless the Bears come out and say that they're starting Fields, I think it's an easy Bengals win. That might be my favorite pick so far. Because I think the Bears and the Giants are very similar teams, and they have pretty good defenses, but they don't have franchise quarterbacks, at least in the game right now. And their defenses aren't good enough to overcome the deficiencies of their offense. So, I mean, I don't understand how you can't play Justin Fields. I don't know what you're looking at. I mean, at what point do the veterans get together, Brad, do you think, and be like, especially on defense, be like,
see, I don't know the inner workings of how those players feel about Andy about Dalton.
But when push comes to shove, they're going to want to win, right?
Yeah. Again, though, we don't really know. I mean, is Andy Dalton held in high regard in their locker room?
How could he? It's not like he had a good season last year.
I mean, he was okay. He wasn't terrible. I mean, the other guy, Danucci, was terrible. I mean, he wasn't terrible. You know, he's not as good as Dak Prescott. Not too many quarterbacks are. But, I mean, he wasn't terrible.
You got the Vikings and the Cardinals getting into the 4 o'clock slate next week. Cardinals 3.5-point favorites at home.
Cardinals are going to smoke them. I told you, I think the Vikings are going to have a very bad year. I don't know why. I just have a very bad feeling about it. I told you that before last week. I just have a feeling they're going to be a bad football team this year.
Falcons traveling to Tampa, division game. The Falcons are 12.5-point underdogs. I'm going to take the 12.5 here. That's a big spread for a division game.
Yeah, and I don't know that Tampa Bay is going to be, out for blood against a team like Atlanta. I could see them taking them too lightly. Who does Tampa Bay have to play the following week? That would be my question, and that would be my main objective to find that out before I make any comment.
I'm looking it up right now. They're at New England. Oh, no, I'm sorry. September 19th, so they're at the Rams.
That's a trap game. That's going to be a close game because you know what? Can you not see? Can you definitely see them being looking at playing a team like the Rams the following week and not being necessarily ready to play against Atlanta? I could see that.
And then on October 3rd, their game after that, the grudge match of all grudge matches, they're going. Tom Brady will be revisiting Foxborough on Sunday Night Football. They'll be at the Patriots.
So I could see them overlooking the Falcons. I could see the Falcons maybe getting after getting killed by the Eagles, coming out, getting off to a good start, maybe get out to a quick lead, and then Tampa Bay
12.5. I mean, I got some wiggle room there.
Yeah, you do. I like the 12.5 too.
The Dallas Cowboys will visit the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are the standard 3-point favorite.
That will be a loss for the Dallas Cowboys.
I kind of agree.
They're not going there and beating that team. That's a good football team.
Tennessee Titans are going to visit the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's a 5.5-point favorite.
Oh boy! You know what? I'd take the 5.5. I
would too.
Any way Tennessee is going to play that badly 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, look, they got embarrassed by the Cardinals.
Exactly. Listen. I know Seattle. I know Russ is 100-0 in September. He never loses in September. I get.
He's also never lost in the Eastern. I don't know if he's never lost, but his record in the Eastern time zone is impeccable.
Yeah, I'd be real surprised. I'd be real surprised, but I do think they'll cover, and I think they're gonna come out. They're gonna really
5.5, and then Brad. It's one thing I look for when I'm trying to pick out live dogs is the over under. The higher the total, I think the more likely it is that the dog covers. Because if it's a high total, like if you have an offense like the Titans who can score points and you're getting 5.5, 6 points, I think that's a smart bet.
Yeah, I know. I like the Titans. I think they were horrible against the Cardinals, but you know what? I'm gonna take it as it's the first game of the season. I expect better. We're getting another comment here from Blue City Empire Sports. Ever since the Giants drafted Daniel Jones, the Giants have been owning the Washington football team, and Washington has not beaten us since 2018. I've already mentioned that we own them. We definitely own them, and there's been jokes in the newspaper that Daniel Jones has been at the psychiatrist's office, and there's a little ball, and they're trying to hypnotize him to tell him he's playing against the Washington football team every week, try to get him to play well. That's kind of the running joke. So I see it. I think the Giants will beat him again. It just seems like Washington plays mindless, stupid football against the Giants, and it's unexplainable why they do, but they do, and they always seem to get themselves in big holes, and they're down big, and they always come back at the end, but it's never enough.
I think this is a big series for the Raiders defense here on Monday Night Football. They really need to stop here.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens just shut them down again. I think that was another 3-and-out. So
well, I think the Raiders need to get a little more creative on offense and just not pepper Darren Waller with targets, which the Ravens are clearly ready for. They've run the ball decent. I mean,
I think that you're going to see Mariota in this game.
I think Derek Carr stinks.
Yeah, he's looking like he has no mobility. They're getting a ton of pressure on him. At least Mariota can move around. Can slide the pocket around. That's something the Ravens do have trouble with, is quarterbacks who can move. I think they're going to need to do that because
few more games.
They haven't had a sniff against this team right now.
We got a big one next Sunday night. The Baltimore Ravens will visit the Kansas City Chiefs. Game's currently off the board right now because obviously the Ravens are playing right now.
Two road games in a row to start the season.
Yeah, I'm big on the Chiefs.
This is a huge game for the Ravens then, because if they lose this game, they're probably going to be 0-2. So that kind of tells me even more that the Ravens are going to win this game.
Patrick Mahomes still has never lost a game as a starter in September.
Yeah. By the way, did you hear the statistic that they pulled out yesterday about Patrick Mahomes? That the Chiefs in the last 63 games that Patrick Mahomes has played in, the Chiefs at one time or another have had the lead. I mean, that is an unbelievable. They're not saying they have a 163 in a row, but the last 63 games that he's played, the Chiefs at one time in the game have had a lead, and that they broke somebody's record yesterday. I don't remember who they said it was, but that's unbelievable. Yeah, I get that football is not always a wire to wire kind of game. I get that, but that's amazing to have a lead in 63 games in a row. That's almost unheard of in the NFL. Uh-oh.
Mike's muted. My mic.
There you go. I was just about to tell you that.
Because I sneezed, so I turned it off. But
okay.
Last game, Detroit. Next Monday night, Detroit visits Lambeau. I think Aaron Rodgers gets back on track. It's a 10.5 point line. I have no problem laying the points. I think Green Bay gets on track, and we'll be off to the races in what I mean. Brad, everyone's talking about the NFC East being the worst division. This NFC North, not very good either.
Looking a little shaky. At least right now.
I think the Packers are good, but they looked bad yesterday. The Bears stink unless they put Justin Fields in. The Lions stink, and you've been telling us Minnesota stinks the whole offseason.
Yeah, I don't like Minnesota, and I think it's going to be a little. And nothing that happened on Sunday has changed my mind. The way that the Bengals were able to tie that game with no seconds to go and then win the game with no time left on the clock.
Well, Minnesota tied it with seconds remaining.
Oh, Minnesota tied
in regulation, yes.
Oh, okay.
Minnesota had to go down the field, and they kicked a 53-yard field goal.
Right.
I mean, good for that guy, a kicker I never heard of, on the road kicking a 53-yarder at the horn to send it to overtime.
If you're the Minnesota Vikings and you think that you're going to be a good team, you can't lose that game.
And the Raiders get what they needed. They get a stop. They're going to get the ball back, and we'll see if they can make something happen. They got to get out of this offensive funk. If people who bet on the underdog like me bet on the Raiders want to have a chance. I mean, you need a little some points on the board. We need some play.
They need a big play.
I mean, they got the one big run, but it was from Mariota. I don't know. Maybe you get Ruggs on like a bubble screen. You got to get Carr in a groove here.
There's something you don't see very often in the NFL, Rob. A team lined up in the eye.
Well, that's Gruden for you. A little spider 2Y banana.
That didn't work altogether well. Oh, my goodness.
You got to get Carr on track here. You got to get get him in a groove somehow.
Yeah, but you also have to be able to run the ball at least a little bit.
They have been running the ball, though. They didn't dare, obviously.
Not on that play.
But what do you expect? You're in the power eye. I mean,
yeah, but if you're in the power eye, that means you have a blocker right in front of you. So you're supposed to just follow your blocker.
But you're also telegraphing to the defense that it's probably going to be a running play.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Yeah, they go with the more conventional play. Now that's a good play. Try to negate.
There you go. I mean, that's a great stick right there.
Yeah, that's a good play, but that's a good play by Carr.
That's the Ravens for you, though. I mean, solid tackling, physical.
Yeah, no yards after the catch.
Doesn't that seem like it's the key in the NFL these days? No yards after the catch.
Oh yeah, I mean he got to the.
Jesus God! I mean he had him up the seam.
Yards. Yeah, 3 yards after the catch, and then that was it. Play was over.
I mean, but he had a big play up the seam, and he missed him.
Yeah, but he had no time. I mean, they're just teeing off of that's got to be a legal procedure, right? Yep.
What?
I mean, the Raiders right now their offense right now just looks disheveled. I mean,
now you go from 3rd and 4 to 3rd and 9.
I'm honestly, and I'm sorry, Blue City Empire Sports. I'm a Giant fan, so understand I'm allowed to say these things. The Raiders are looking like the Giants right now. Okay, these are the kind of things that the Giants do, and that's not conducive to winning football. Now it's 3rd and 9, and if you don't think the Ravens know a pass is coming, they're going to be putting on all kinds of pressure, and here they come. And down goes Carr. Well, you couldn't guess that was going to happen, right? Oh, my God.
I mean.
Wow. The Raiders stink. Let's be honest. They're terrible.
They're not blocking up front. They're not.
I mean, did Hairston – I mean, number 7.
Is that Leatherwood? The first-round pick is getting beat like a drum.
Yeah, number 7.
Right tackle, Leatherwood.
Yeah, he just whiffed on that blitz. I mean, he's lucky he didn't get his quarterback killed on that play. Carr really has. Let's be fair, okay? And I know neither one of us are big fans of Carr, but has he really had a chance?
No.
Oh,
and
they have a fumble. No, he recovered.
Someone's got to step up. Oh, look at that! They dropped the ball. They're able to get it back, but that could have been the break the Raiders needed. But Brad, all the Raiders are doing is peppering Darren Waller. And the Ravens are ready for it. They have him double covered. Yeah,
they just had the graphic before. I think they had thrown to him 7 times and had 1 completion. I mean, they got to throw the ball to more than one guy. Yeah, the little quick screen out of the backfield was effective. Well, the only problem was the running back when he got out of when he went out for the screen pass, he got knocked down. So, they had to kind of wait. He had to kind of wait a little bit for that to develop. Otherwise, maybe he would have had some more room. But right now, the Raiders' offense looks like a mess.
All right, let's talk some baseball. We got about 10 minutes left here, and Flight Zone's going to take over. It's getting a little thick, getting a little hot and heavy there in the American League there, Brad. We'll touch on the National League in a few minutes.
Well, the Blue Jays are destroying the first-place Tampa Bay Rays right now. It's 7-0.
I mean, they also had extended batting practice over the weekend against the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, the Orioles did win a game, believe it or not.
Yeah, but what was it, 22-5 yesterday?
No, that was 2 days ago. Yesterday it was 11-2. No, it was 22-5 yesterday. Saturday it was 11-2, and here's the really scary thing. Okay, the Blue Jays were down 2-0 in that game after 6 innings. They're getting no hit, and then the Oriole bullpen came in and they lost 11-2.
I mean, I think Brad, that the division leaders in the American League are going to hold true. You have Tampa Bay; they're up 9 games. They're not going to blow that lead.
No, they're not. They're
the White Sox in the Central, they're up 12 games. They're a really good baseball team. They're not going to blow that.
Well, Houston's not going to blow it either.
And Houston's up 6.5 in the AL West. I fully expect them to hold on.
No,
you get to the wild card. You get to the wild card in the AL, Brad.
It's wild right now because you got the Blue Jays and Red Sox, who are both a half a game coming into this game tonight, are both a half game ahead of the Yankees. Okay, Blue Jays are ahead 7-0 in the 6th, so it's looking good for the Blue Jays. Boston's out on the West Coast and they're playing Seattle, which is not going to be easy for them. Yankees' next 3 are in Baltimore, and boy, they better figure out how to beat Baltimore because this is getting ridiculous. They're 9-7 this year against Baltimore, and if you want to know why the Yankees are in the position they're in right now, it's because they haven't beat up the Orioles like every other normal baseball team.
There's Lamar making another big play. I think that's Marquise Brown, number 5. Lamar's on the move. Ravens are on the move. We'll see if the Raiders can step up and respond. Probably not, though.
That was a well thrown pass. He waited. That was a nice job by Lamar.
But I mean, he's wide open with no pressure in his face. Well, I hope he can make that throw.
Well, he made the throw, and now they're at the 39-yard line. That was a dysfunctional play.
Getting back to the AL wild card, though, you have the Mariners and the Athletics 3 games back, respectively. So they're still in it.
Well, the Mariners are playing 3 against the Red Sox at home.
That's a big series.
Yeah, this is a big.
What's that start tomorrow?
No, it's tonight. That would be tonight.
I mean, that's a colossal series in the American League wild card.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be. It's not going to be an easy series for the Red Sox to be sure. We'll see. I mean, this is a situation where the Yankees can really take advantage of the schedule right now. The Blue Jays are going to be playing the Rays the next few games, and the Yankees are going to be playing the Orioles, and Boston is out on the West Coast playing Seattle. So you would think that they would at least they should be able to gain some ground here. I do think that this win today may have saved their season. If let's put it this way, Rob, when you come back from a 5-0 lead, and I don't care who you're playing against, when you're able to come back and get a dramatic win like that's the kind of win that can certainly turn around a losing streak, I would think.
It should be a boost to them, but
yeah, I mean I know every game is different because of the pitching situation, but that's a big that's a big win for them today. We'll see what happens. I mean they're playing some very soft competition over the next 2 weeks, the Yankees. But keep in mind their last 3 series of the season at Toronto, at Boston, and then home for Tampa. So I mean they're going to have their chance. They're going to have their chance, to win their way into the playoffs, as long as they keep it close. At the same time, they can also lose their way right out of the playoffs playing those teams.
So there's a lot to be determined in the American League. You look at the National League.
National League is starting to get a little bit interesting as far as the wild card is concerned. Obviously, the Dodgers have everything under control, or the Giants, whoever ends up winning that division.
I mean, the Giants. I mean, that's a big swing though, because you want to win the division, so you don't have to be in the single game elimination.
No, I think right now I believe the Padres are still hanging on to that.
The Padres are in the second. They're tied with the Reds for the second wild card. But the NL West, the Giants lead the Dodgers by 2.5 games.
Okay, that's a nice. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you saw that touchdown pass by Lamar. That's
unbelievable. He's athletically gifted. He's athletically gifted. But Brad, we saw it with the Sixers here in Philadelphia. Yeah, you can roll up stats and pile up wins in the regular season, but when push comes to shove, can you stand in the pocket and can you make the big time throws to be a champion in this league? I don't think Lamar Jackson can.
It's one thing to do it against the Raiders. It's another thing to do it against the top team, against the top defense. I mean, that was a nice pass, though. I mean, I got to give him credit. I mean, he looks like he's throwing the ball pretty well tonight. So we'll see what happens. Again, though, it's the Raiders, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. And now it's 14-0.
Yeah, and the Raiders, they desperately have to do something here on one of these next two drives. But getting back to – because the Brewers are up by 14 games in the Central. They're going to win. And I think the Braves are safe, up 4.5 on the stinky Phillies in the East.
And they're 5.5 up on the Mets? Or is it 4.5?
5 up on the Mets.
5. So the Mets are only half a game behind Philly? Hey.
The Phillies stink. And you look at the second wild card, you have the Padres, the Reds, the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals have gotten back into it. I know they got Wainwright pitching tonight. I think the last time I looked, it was 1-0 Cardinals in the second inning. I don't know what.
I think it's 3-0 now.
Okay. Well, with Wainwright out there, the way Wainwright has pitched this year, that's probably good news for the Cardinals.
But that's a big series. That's a big series in the NL wild card because the Mets are only 3 back of the second wild card. Phillies are only 2.5 back, as bad as they've been.
Yeah, I think the Mets and Phillies are playing this week, right?
I think they got a weekend series.
Okay, I know they have a 3-game series in Citi Field very soon, so that's going to be an interesting series.
Yeah, I mean JP. I mean Lamar's playing well. Lamar's playing well tonight. Good for him.
Yeah, just keep in mind, it's against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I'm just saying. I mean, it's kind of the.
I still maintain the opinion that he's not a good enough pocket passer to lead the Ravens to a Super Bowl championship.
He is creative enough.
My data is the last Buffalo last year and Tennessee 2 years ago. I like that though. Yeah. I'm glad people tune in and comment. Hopefully JP hit that like, hit that subscribe, has his notifications on, so he doesn't miss anything here on A2D Radio.
But I'm going to say the same thing about Lamar tonight as I did about Jalen Hurts yesterday. You're playing well, and that's great to see, but, let's see it against a good team. Let's see it against a team that's not one of the worst defensive teams in the NFL. But certainly Lamar is playing very well tonight. Again, in that I would expect that out of Lamar, especially against a team that has no defense like the Raiders. The Raiders right now look lost.
Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you to Frank Vesby for producing the show. Thank you to everyone who liked, comment, shared the show. Thank you to our great sponsors, Alan Foy, eXp Realty, Johnny Coyle down at All Campus, Sunrise Detox, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, Body Check Wellness. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Until next week, peace out, everybody.